Hello and welcome to today's LEITWOLF podcast episode. My name is Stefan Homeister, and I'm your podcast host. I learned a ton in 35 years in leadership, 25 in corporate, leading six, later on leading 12,000 people, and then 12 years as an independent entrepreneur, uh, having founded two startups and both work, having worked with about 11,000 executives ever since. So I've seen a ton, I've made many mistakes, I've done a couple of things right, and I'd like to share everything I've learned with you so that you can use all of this to turn yourself into exactly the leader you want to become. And today is a very special one. Why? Today's episode is about one of the most important, yet at the same time toughest and decisive leadership challenges. One that shapes every team, every culture, every company. It's about the people you select, the people you recruit, hiring the right people. And the truth is, my experience is, many leaders make painful, expensive mistakes, especially when they have doubts about a candidate and ignore them. That's when it gets expensive. Because in leadership, one rule applies: doubt means no. As my longest ever boss, David Taylor, always says, when there is doubt, there is no doubt, unquote. And I think that's already the core of the message. Still, we are all humans. We all make mistakes. I made recruiting mistakes. And let's first elaborate a bit on why and how these mistakes arise, how doubts and mistakes arise, and why they are so dangerous if ignored. So the first thing that I experience once in a while, particularly now when consulting clients on strategy, on team productivity, or on leadership, in times when performance has to come faster and better and vacancies are even more painful. The pressure to finally fill the gap. Have you come across this pressure? Well, I have. The team is tired. The position has been open for months. Everyone's overloaded. They feel exhausted. They lack a teammate. And you're the boss, right? Then a candidate shows up and the candidate is good. And you want to think, hey, the candidate is almost good enough, right? It's quite okay. Um, and then relief takes over, and suddenly good enough feels like this is the right one. That's the right woman, that's the right man to take the role. But pressure makes you deaf to doubt, and that's dangerous. So that's the first symptom and source of mistakes that I encounter in many around me, and in fact in myself. Another one is the fear of missing out. You want to be fair, open, positive, so you think, maybe I'm just a bit too critical on that one aspect. She's good on all those other things, or he's good on all those other things. And sometimes leaders then end up confusing two things. They confuse hope with suitability, and that's not good. You want the person to fit, and you want it so badly that you overlook what doesn't fit. So that's another symptom I've seen. And the third one, maybe the desire or the need to be nice, to be polite, because these are high pressure conversations for both sides. If you're on the recruiting end, this is typically not just a normal conversation for you, because you're representing the company towards the outside. You're representing the company in an important moment, which is recruitment. And you bet it's high pressure conversation time for the applicant, because many of them want a job and need a job, and therefore maybe a little bit stressed. And you want to be nice, right? You want to be polite, um, and you want to represent the company in a respectful manner. And that's all fine. But we shouldn't confuse empathy and kindness with finding evidence, and with being honest, right? You are taking an important decision, and the decision is important for both the candidate and your company and your team and yourself, right? So don't confuse empathy with clarity. Being over empathetic, being too nice in a recruitment conversation can lead you to avoid an inner confrontation with the truth. Maybe you have 7 what counts factors that are key for recruitment into your company and into your culture. 6 out of 7 the person nails, but the 7th one is just missing. It's plain simply missing and not there. Then it doesn't help anyone if you pretend out of your desire to be polite or nice, right? You suppress your instinct instead of investigating the root cause for your negative gut feeling. And here is the painful truth. Many, I think much more than 80% of bad hiring or promotion decisions, the interview panel, the interviewers already felt doubt at the first conversations they ran with the candidate. And they just chose to ignore it. And the cost is enormous. There is friction in your team because the wrong candidate got hired. You lose time, precious time, because you soon see it doesn't fit. And you wait and you wait and you wait and you again lose 6 months, and then you let the person go, right? And you have to start all over again. And you wasted an entire 6 months period having hired the wrong person. It's much more painful to hire the wrong person than to keep a vacancy. Yeah. Just look at the midterm, not just at the today's pressure. You lose time and you damage trust. Not only do you damage the trust to the person that you may have to let go again, you also damage trust with your own team because they saw you made the wrong hiring decision, right? So that's why it matters so much, and that's why the problem of wrong recruitment decision occurs. Now let's talk a bit about how to avoid this and how to raise the odds of making a good recruitment decision. And I think if you nail it 9 out of 10 times, it's excellent. You will still make a mistake once in a while, but making fewer and fewer of those mistakes will help your company a lot and your culture a lot as well, right? So a few tips that I learned. Number 1, trust your first instinct, but verify it rationally. If somehow during the conversation, at the beginning, in the middle, or towards the end, you feel, oh gosh, something feels off, well, then probably something is off. Yeah, take your gut instinct seriously. Trust your gut. Yeah, and treat the feeling as data, and ask yourself, why is this? Treat it as data and not as drama. It's not a drama that you're suddenly feeling wrong about a candidate. It's just data. It's a fact. And then ask yourself, what exactly triggers this doubt in me? Is there a skill gap that I can help, or the person can help, or someone can help develop? Is it on a marginal detail that doesn't really matter that much? Or is it a core attitude that is hard to fix if it proves it's a problem, right? And if you can't clearly say yes to the candidate, then it is a no. Doubt means no, unless you have a clear yes. So tip number 1, trust your instinct, verify it rationally, and if you have doubts, don't treat it as drama, but as data, and deal with it. Tip number 2, test evidence, not eloquence. Let's be clear. Those recruitment interviews are a little bit of a dog and pony show from both sides, right? When you represent your company, then you want to portray the company as an attractive employer. You maybe share honestly where the many strengths are and maybe the one or two imperfections of your company, which just raises your credibility. But you position your company in a good light. And so does any applicant. They are here to sell. They are here to sell themselves. They want an offer. They want a job, right? So um, many of them will use language and rhetorics and eloquence as a means to get the offer. But your job is not to get impressed with eloquence. Your job is to find evidence of the behavior you want to see, evidence of the skills the person needs if she or he is going to succeed in the role, right? And the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. So my advice, look for evidence on past behavior, on the crucial key skills that you are recruiting for. And then do not ask for general themes like, what do you think about AI? Bullshit question, waste of time. Rather, ask, well, can you please give me the best example so far in any area of life, how you have used AI to improve your own productivity? So that's a much more concrete question that asks, invites, in fact, forces the candidate to share evidence of the past, actual behavior based. And if that's convincing to you, that's great. And if it's not, then it's a warning signal. Yeah. And if you want to dig into some other areas, for example, team behavior, you could ask things like, Stefan, from your entire past, any area of life, please tell me about a time when you resolved a conflict with your team. How did you do it? Or if you want to understand how a person behaves under pressure, we all need to be able to deal with pressure. Share with me a moment when you got under pressure and what did you do when your team missed a goal under pressure? How did you behave? This is another example of a question. Keep exploring your own ones. And then listen. Listen to what you hear. Don't get impressed by charisma or by resume or by just words and body language and rhetorics. Listen to the substance. Find the evidence. And if it's strong, reflected, authentic, clear, convincing, well, then tick the box. But if it's vague or theoretical, well, then big red flag. And then maybe give it one or two more chances on that same topic. And if you ask for a crucial factor 3 times and you only get weak or no evidence, well, then you do not hire that candidate. So my tip number 2, test behavior and evidence and not eloquence. And tip number 3, get a second perspective. If you doubt, don't decide alone. In fact, in my first employer, a company where I'm really grateful that I spent 18 years learning and growing as a manager and leader, I learned how to interview. And I've done it probably 150 times. Made a few mistakes, but we probably together got a couple of decisions also pretty well nailed. And the method we used, that might be gold to apply. The method we used is as simple as it is effective. So the way we've done it is, when a candidate looked so attractive to us that we decided to offer interviews, then we lined up 3 to 4 interviews in a row. Every one of us was looking for evidence of the 7 factors that the company built its talent around, right? And we looked for evidence, as just described. And then once the interviews were completed, we all got together fast for a panel. We then put 3 needles into our hands, anonymously and invisibly to the others. And the number meant the following: zero needle, only over my dead body. I will never hire this person. One, I would not hire this person because I have a significant doubt on at least one of 7 factors. But I'm open to be convinced by evidence when the other 3 have conclusive evidence that the factor is strong. Maybe I had the first interview, maybe the person was still very nervous, but I want evidence, not just belief, right? 2 pins, I want that person in the company, but I'm open to listen whether anyone has controlling doubts, then I'm happy to say no. And 3 out of 3 meant we absolutely want to hire that person. And then we all put our pins on the table. So we took a position and then we saw it. Okay. And then there were 2 easy scenarios. If there were only ones and zeros, simple, no offer. If there were only twos and threes, simple again, offer now, ideally right now, and make sure the candidate decides for us and signs. In those fewer instances when we were undecided, like 3 twos and a 1, then we had to have a conversation and understand and discuss. And either the twos were able to share evidence that the 1 didn't have. This was not a negotiation, right? We weren't negotiating. We weren't trying to be right. We were trying to discuss evidence based. And if the other 3 were able to give enough evidence for the person with the 1 to raise it to 2, we would offer. And if not, then we would not offer, right? Because you need to take this decision united. Either it's a united yes or it's a clear no. So these would be my 3 tips how you might reduce the number of mistakes in hiring, increase the number of good decisions in hiring substantially, and strengthen everything. Strengthen your results, your culture, your team spirit, your workplace, the environment that you want to work in. And here are the 3 tips in a nutshell. First, trust your instinct, but verify it rationally. 2, look for evidence, not eloquence. And 3, get a second perspective. And if you unite those factors, then I think you have a really good chance to make a good hiring decision. In a nutshell, I would like to underline doubt is not a weakness. Doubt is an early warning system. And if you have doubt, listen to it, understand where it comes from, and give it a chance to be challenged by evidence. And maybe doubt is one of the best tools you can have as a leader, because your instinct will often, very often, if not always, be right. If your gut says no, then something's wrong. If you doubt, there is something wrong. And that's okay. So listen to your instinct, validate with evidence, and never rush to a decision just to quickly fill a vacancy. The best leaders are not the ones who hire fast and fill the gaps fast. The best leaders are the ones who consistently choose the right people and bring the right talents into the company, even if it takes another month or 2. By the way, we are a team of 9 experienced consultants in 6 countries, including the United States, many of us in Europe, working day in, day out on many projects to make the world a well-led world. And if you look around in your company and you see symptoms of things that don't work yet, for example, how clearly is your corporate strategy understood? How consistently is it implemented? Or how productively does your leadership team work together? Or how modern is your leadership culture? Is it still a classical top-down management structure, or is it an agile, structured leadership culture? If any of those topics resonate with you now and you feel like, I'm not sure, well, then contact us. Let's get in touch. Let's have a chat. Book some time with me, book some time with one of the others, and let's talk. We'd like to understand whether there is anything that this exchange can help you improve in your strategy execution, in your team productivity, or in the strength of your leadership culture. I hope you've enjoyed it. I thank you for your time today, and I already now look forward to having you here on board again next time. If this episode resonated with you, feel free to share it with someone who might be about to make a hiring or promotion decision soon. And if you enjoyed this, please click the star ratings in Spotify and or on all the other stream services that you might be using today. It's a pleasure to have you in the community. I'd like to hear from you, and I look forward to welcoming you again soon here in the LEITWOLF podcast. Thank you. Your Stefan.